Hello and welcome. You're with us here on Aspire. I'm Abha.
And I'm Vikram. We are coming to you from White Owl in Mumbai with another packed edition of the show. Here's what we've got for you. We head out to explore the endless possibilities in the world of tea.
Quite a few new phones in the market this week. We bring you the extended Galaxy S4 lineup and the new BlackBerry Q5.
And we put the spotlight on the best sports cars for Indian roads. Is it the Porsche Cayman or the Jaguar F-Type? And also, if you don't want to burn a big hole in your pocket, we've got some sporty options for you.
But before we get to all of that, here's a look at what's been buzzing this week.
The upgraded version of the Range Rover Sport has already hit the international market and is slated to make its way onto the Indian roads by October 2013. Sporty, clean aerodynamic lines and its light aluminium body make it a much-awaited luxury SUV, the second generation of the Range Rover Sport. Italian car maker Maserati is all set to launch its luxury sedan, GHIBLI. Set on the lines of the BMW 5, Audi A6 and the Mercedes E-Class, the GHIBLI will come with leather from Poltrona Frau and mechanics by Ferrari. The price anywhere between $65,600 to $75,700 US.
Now, many would argue that India is not the space to drive sports cars.
Not surprisingly, given the state of our roads, particularly during the monsoon season, traffic, driving conditions, it's a wonder people spend so much on sports cars.
That's right, and companies haven't stopped producing these cars. In fact, bringing some of them to Indian shores. We've seen the launch of the Jaguar F-Type recently, and there are plenty of options for the speed junkie.
There are. So if you still want that car just because you have to have that prized acquisition, here's what you can spend your money on. We get you the best sports cars in India.
Supercars started entering the Indian market about 8 to 10 years ago, and back then the wait from the time of the global launch to the time that we saw the arrival in the Indian market would be roughly a couple of years. But a lot has changed since then, because today it's almost in sync, the global launch and its arrival. But of course, what hasn't changed are the condition of our roads, our bumps, our potholes. They all stay the same. It's not killing our passion for supercars. These are the best available in the Indian market.
Aimed at hardcore speed junkies, here's what could fulfill your insatiable desire for speed. The latest R8 V10 from Audi, which boasts of being the fastest accelerating car in Audi's history. The Audi R8 was the company's first attempt at a supercar to rival the Porsche 911 and Aston Martin V8 Vantage.
A while ago, you'd really have to be a great driver to get into a sports car and push it around the corners, because if you did anything over smart, they would turn back and bite you. But these days, they've got so much technology and so much safety equipment going on that almost anybody can get into one and have loads of fun with it, especially the ones that we're talking about. Well, let's begin with the hot-looking Audi R8. Caught a lot of eyeballs in the Indian market, and it definitely is a great car. Fantastic engine, great performance, sharp handling. The quattro keeps you feeling safe at all times, and it aims at being an everyday car too. But that's just it. It aims too much at being an everyday car, and it loses out a little bit on the edge.
Now, almost all sports cars carry a certain amount of oomph factor to it. But this generation of the BMW line, the all-new BMW Z4, stands out. In what way? The first generation of production started in 2002, and the Z4 went on to bag the Red Dot Design Award amongst many others. When it comes to design, there's no doubt this one's heading the lead. But can it thrill you on the performance side?
Z4's been around a while. It's also a sharp handling car, good performance, but it doesn't quite have the thrill of the others, and it loses out on that sharp edge ride that it gives you when you're within the city.
Coming down to the car that has created quite a buzz in this space recently, the all-new Jaguar F-Type. The successor to the legendary E-Type, this convertible was launched at the 2012 Paris Motor Show and is now available in the Indian market. It's speculated to have introduced a stop-start engine shut-off function, which they claim boosts economy by 5%. But everyone knows that mileage and the thrill of speed are inversely proportional.
We have the F-Type, which is creating quite a buzz now. A hot-looking car just launched in the Indian market. Fantastic performance, but it loses out on practicality because it's aimed just at being a sports car. Which leaves us with the Cayman. Now this one combines everything that you want into one package just so perfectly.
We decided to check out the best of the lot and take it for a spin, the Porsche Cayman S. Driving on long and well-maintained stretches is very different from driving on our Indian roads. A coupe derived from Porsche's second and third generation Boxster Roadster. The name Cayman is actually inspired by a breed of alligators. We don't really see the semblance, but it's a cool name anyway.
I've been driving this car and it is a dream to drive in. And obviously the interiors feel great as well. What bothers me, Renuka, is the clearance that you get from the bottom. And you know, driving on Bombay roads, it almost kills your heart every time you have to go over a bump.
But Vikram, you'll be surprised as to how much this really goes over. You know, I mean, rule of thumb is you have a sports car, you go over speed breakers diagonally. Because in India, we design them to break cars, not speed literally. But you'll really be surprised as to how much this does go over. Yes, it will scrape its belly on the larger ones. But if you go over them carefully, you really have no problem. And that's the beauty about this car, that it's practical and it has that performance.
That's right. And that's the marriage that we essentially seek when you're talking sports cars, because you want the plushness, you want all that luxury inside, but you also want great performance. That's what a sports car is all about.
Absolutely. This offers such a fantastic package. You get that performance. Look at the way the car looks. I mean, you know, everybody's going to be turning around and looking at you. And even though you mentioned that you thought this color was a little gloomy, you turned a lot of heads any which way.
It does. Yeah. I'd have to agree with you on that because, you know, driving it makes you believe that, you know, when it comes to a sports car, it's got all the elements. But now you have to be able to tell me why you think this rate's even higher than a Jaguar F-Type when it comes to picking the best of the lot.
Well, I think it's the best because, like I said, it combines practicality along with that thrilling drive. The performance is fantastic. The way this car just goes around corners, the balance, you know, it just involves you at every single level. And that's the beauty about it, that not only can you drive it around corners, throw it around, have fun with it and put its performance to the full tilt when you want, but you can drive it around the city and be as comfortable when you want to. And
so what does it have that the F-Type doesn't have, just for instance?
Plus, it's much better priced than all those cars as well. So, I mean, you've got everything you want.
Right.
And you've got it at a price that's closer
than
the
so around
others.
90 to 94 lakhs. Now, you know, obviously this is a big package to spend on a car, and sports cars don't come cheap. Obviously, beyond what you're going to spend to get that car, to acquire this prized possession, you're also going to spend a lot on maintenance. Yes, and when you're talking about, you know, the kind of roads that we drive on, etc., the maintenance just goes up, doesn't it?
I don't really think so. I think a lot of the sports cars that come to India most of them have adaptive suspensions now. And I don't think that you really have to worry unless you do something phenomenally crazy in a car like this. Most of them, you know, don't need to be serviced for very long. Most of them don't have anything going wrong with them. So I think you're pretty safe on that front. Of course, if you have a large enough wallet to buy this car, you have a large enough wallet to look after it.
To look after it as well, yes. So is that really the final word, Renuka, on sports cars, that you need a big fat wallet to be able to afford one? Or, you know, people with smaller budgets, do they have options, if not sports cars, then maybe sporty cars?
Well, definitely. I mean, Porsche has been wowing us with the brigade of cars that they've come in. They've got the Boxster, which is a little cheaper, and it's a fantastic sports car as well. I mean, it really offers you the thrill of driving, and it can really keep up with some of the supercars as well. And when we first drove it, we were very, very impressed with its attributes. So you do have the Boxster, you have the likes of the Audi TT, but when you're that close, why not pick the best? And it's right here in front of you. And we really feel that this is the best sports car in the Indian market.
Well, having said that, of course, there are other options out there, like Renuka was pointing out. Here's looking at them.
Audi TT. This coupe first appeared as a concept at the 1995 Frankfurt Motor Show and debuted in the US in the year 2000. The Audi TT takes its name from the successful motor racing tradition of NSU in the British Isle of the Man TT motorcycle race. Interestingly, this was the first sports car to make its way to the Indian market.
Of course, as the Audi TT, it was one of the first sports cars to be launched into the Indian market, still around, and a nice sports car, but when we're talking in this league, it runs a little short.
And taking the league ahead in the budget bucket is the Porsche Boxster. Interestingly, this baby is Porsche's first road vehicle to be originally designed as a roadster since the 550 Spider. The Boxster is the entry point for the Porsche family.
The one that you really want to buy, a little more affordable, would be the Porsche Boxster. It's a thrilling car and it comes very close to the supercars of today.
Whatever may be your lifestyle or your wallet size, there's a sports car for everyone.
On that incredibly sporty note, let's take a very quick break here on Aspire. When we come back, we take a look at the endless possibilities in the world of tea.
And there are quite a few new smartphones in the market this week. We bring you the extended Galaxy S4 lineup and the new BlackBerry Q5.
When it comes to smartphones, one company that really knows how to flood the market is Samsung.
Yeah, it's not enough that they make great phones. What they do is, when they don't come out with new phones, they flood the market with variants so that they please every customer profile.
That's right. So today we're going to take a look at the Galaxy S4 Mini and the Zoom and find out exactly how these variants are different.
Samsung's Galaxy lineup has got bigger. And this time there are two new devices which carry the S4 badge, but look nothing like it. The Galaxy S4 Zoom and the Galaxy S4 Mini. The S4 Zoom looks more like a smaller version of the Samsung Galaxy camera, except that this one comes with a calling feature. It features a 16 megapixel rear camera with 10x optical zoom. That lends to a bulky feel. The phone's camera boasts of optical image stabilization as well as a 24mm wide lens that can record 1080p videos as well. It has a 4.3-inch Super AMOLED screen and is powered by Android Jelly Bean. It runs on a dual-core 1.5 GHz processor and has an internal storage of 8GB, which is very little for a dedicated camera phone, but it does support expandable memory through micro SD cards. The Galaxy S4 Zoom is a little too bulky for a smartphone. It's only for Instagrammers or for those people who carry two phones, because then this could function as a camera as well. The S4 Mini, on the other hand, doesn't feel like a Samsung phone at all because of its small screen size. We're just used to big screen phones from Samsung. For all those people who've been complaining about not getting that premium device in a small screen, this could be an option. It's been a while since we've seen a small screen phone from Samsung, and the S4 Mini feels tiny compared to its siblings and is almost the same size as the iPhone 5. The S4 Mini comes with a 4.3-inch AMOLED screen and is powered by a dual-core processor. It has an internal storage of 8GB, 1.5GB of RAM and an 8-megapixel camera. So in terms of specs, it's really underpowered compared to the S4 and is nothing like it. And for 28,000 rupees, it does seem pretty expensive. But for anyone who is looking to upgrade to a small-sized premium device, this could be an option.
So on the one hand, you have Samsung, which is flooding the market with smartphones, but then you have a BlackBerry as well, which is trying to hold on to that little share that they have. Now with the latest BB10 device, we're talking about the Q5.
That's right. And after its recent two launches, the Q5 is a new one on the block Will this be the one that actually works for BlackBerry? We take a closer look.
After introducing the Z10 and the Q10 to the Indian market, both premium devices above 40,000 rupees, BlackBerry has introduced its entry-level device, the Q5, at just under 25,000 rupees. The second device to feature a physical QWERTY keypad but doesn't carry the BB10 design philosophy. While the Q10 and the Z10 carry that premium finish, the Q5 comes with a plasticky feel, but otherwise looks like any other BlackBerry QWERTY phone. It's got a 3.1-inch LCD screen on the front with a QWERTY keypad at the base. Along the sides, it's got the SIM slot and the micro SD slot and the volume keys on the other. At the top is the power key, and at the back is a 5-megapixel camera. Running on BlackBerry 10 operating system, the Q5 incorporates gestures to navigate through the system. It has a 1.2 GHz dual-core processor with 2 GB of RAM, the same as the Q10, so there is no lag in performance at all. But when you compare the Q5 to the Q10, there are some differences which justify the price gap. The Q10 comes with a better screen, a better camera, more memory, and a much better build quality. Considering that the Q10 is priced at 45,000 rupees, the 25,000 rupee price tag for the Q5 seems very reasonable. There's no lag in performance. In fact, it's got the same processor as the Q10, but at a time where BlackBerry needs to salvage its market share, the 25,000 rupee price tag will still seem expensive to a lot of customers, considering there are better options out there with quad-core processors, larger screens, and better cameras.
Okay, let's take another very quick break here on the show. We've got lots more coming up for you.
Yes, we're looking at the endless possibilities when it comes to the world of tea.
Welcome back. You're with us here on Aspire. Now, India has been known globally for tea. We have so many rich plantations and varieties, and for the longest time, tea for us has meant our typical morning chai, isn't it, Vikram?
Absolutely. In fact, now it's become the new drink. It used to be coffee at one time, it still is to a large extent, but tea brings so much more to the table now. You're seeing exotic infusions, you're seeing those quirky concoctions. A lot is changing.
Some of which are a lot healthier as well. Khushbu set out to discover some of the endless possibilities in the world of tea.
Masala tea, Assam tea, lemon tea, green tea. It's time to look beyond. In pursuit of the most exotic teas available out there, I set out on a tea trail. My first stop, a contemporary dim sum tea house, Yaucha.
Now for a tea lover like me, this is an absolute treat. They have some 10 different varieties of exotic teas which have been sourced from around the world. Now they have some exotic infusions in them. The one that has caught my fancy is called Ansi Tikon Hai. It's a blue roasted tea which has some floral and fruity flavors, as they tell me. And in Chinese tradition, this one is served with dim sums, and that's how I'm going to have it today.
Ansi Tikon Hai, or the blue roasted tea, originates from Taiwan. It brews a beautiful champagne cup with pungent aromas. It is one of the fanciest grades of tea produced.
As I'd expected my blue roasted tea to be slightly blue in color, that's not what it is. It has this mix of woody, floral and spicy flavors, and served with these dim sums, it goes really well. Now on a nice monsoon day, this for me is completely refreshing.
If spicy is not what suits your palate, choose from a variety of floral infusions like the Orchid Pao Chung Cha, a premium delightful flower tea with hidden notes of orchid petals, served with macaroons for a delectable afternoon high tea. And to satiate your appetite for exotic teas, there are a whole host of places you could try out. look forward to the monsoons to sit back at home and enjoy a hot cup of tea? If that's what you like, give it a little twist. Call it a tea ceremony.
Now my little tea trail has brought me to this elaborately set up tea ceremony, which has actually been set up specially for me. It has teas from around the world which you can actually infuse and brew at home yourself. And we have Radhika with us, who is actually going to take us through few of these teas.
Radhika is an accomplished tea sommelier. She hosts tea ceremonies for corporates, art shows and events like the Derby.
Would love to start with sage.
Its strong thyme flavor is great to kickstart your day, but I was looking forward to the Kokum Tisani, deliciously infused with fresh kokum sourced from Mexico.
You can even infuse this as your summer iced tea, or in humid weather conditions, infuse it and have a cold drink.
And look what Radhika has brewed for me next. A beautiful blue tea. It's a Thai favorite and is infused with the ancient blue butterfly pea plant.
You can actually infuse it into your cocktails, mocktails. It's very popular in Thailand because of its benefits, and that is its anti-aging.
Radhika's collection of fine teas go beyond the normal. There's the blooming tea that is actually handcrafted by artisans in China and blooms on pouring hot water. The tao cha from the mountains of China is bricked and allowed to age. When brewed, it swells up to give you a burst of earthy flavors. If the tea you serve is so exotic, so should be the suits. My palate comes from a Chinese origin. It's called Lapsang Souchong and is best paired with red wine of the Shiraz variety that has a strong oakiness in it.
So we start off with the Lapsang Souchong.
I almost felt that oak burn in my mouth.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Pair it with fine cheese like Gouda or cheddar, and an evening with friends couldn't get better than this. High on tea, it's time to call it a day on my tea trail.
It's everyone's favorite thing to do. Get a nice cup of tea in the monsoon, sit by the windows watching the rain. It sounds absolutely wonderful.
That invigorating thought. We'll wrap up this edition of Aspire. Thanks indeed for joining us. We'll see you around next time. Bye-bye.